Here are 3 lessons I learned from Kanye West's Genius. Trying to figure out like what angle I want. I don't even know if this thing works. I told myself that I'd record this before I ate lunch, and it's only 10:37 and I'm hungry. I don't know why. Yo guys, so today we're talking about Genius, the new documentary on Kanye West.
Hey Kanye, how would you describe your album?
Man, I feel like it's a breath of fresh air.
So confession guys, I've never been a big fan of Kanye West. I was never a fan. I never listened to much of his music, just the songs on the radio, just the songs at the football games. Nothing against him, I just never got on the bandwagon. So if you want to throw the hate comments below, do it. It'll probably help with the algorithm. All comments are good as far as I know. So when I saw this documentary come out, I was curious because I know generally, recently, the last couple albums Kanye's made have been very Christian-centered. And I was like, how did he even get there? So my curiosity took me for a turn, and I decided to watch the series. And boy, oh boy, do I recommend it. Go check it out if you haven't seen it yet. I just watched the last episode the other night, and as I've been watching the show come out, I've been listening to all of his albums along with it, and it's so cool to see the journey, the progression of Kanye West along the 20 years of his music career. Super cool to see. First off, before I get into this, I haven't done much research, so take what I say with a grain of salt. I just watched the documentary, and these are my first impressions. So all that being said, here are 3 lessons I learned from Kanye West's Genius. Lesson number 1, always give first. Kanye started his music career as a producer. He produced thousands of tracks for hundreds of artists all over the place. See, he actually made a living off of making beats before he was even a rapper. Giving actually allowed him to master his craft whether he knew it or not. They say that you need 10,000 hours or anything before you are a pro in that industry. And that's what he did. And so when it comes to mastering anything, always give first. The second thing I learned was to value your perspective. And this thing actually got Kanye in quite a bit of trouble a few times on a few occasions. A lot of people would say that Kanye's always done some weird things. He's been out of his head, kind of all over the place. But nonetheless, that's who he is. And like it or not, he stayed true to who he is, and he wasn't afraid to speak his mind. He allowed all the different variables of his life to come together to create this music and express himself how he wanted to, being the rap community, being religion, all the other parts of his life created his music and his perspective and his outlook on what life is. Like it or not, he didn't care. He didn't care what you thought. He was confident in who he was, and he was confident in what he wanted to do. And that's the difference between him and a lot of us, is he was confident in what he wanted to do. He knew that he wanted to tell a story that mattered. He knew that he wanted to share his perspective from this different point of view than everybody else had. And he really wasn't going to let anybody else get in the way of that. Some people say he was arrogant and confident.
And they say overconfident, like that's a bad thing.
And I agree to a point, but just because he valued his perspective and he knew that he had to stay true to himself. And the third thing I learned is to document the journey. I've always been a fan of the idea that perfection is not the goal, but the journey is the goal. It's all about the journey, about the progression along the way. And that's the coolest part about watching this documentary and going back and listening to all of Kanye's music. As you can see how his character changes and he develops over time, but he still stays true to a few key important parts of his life. Don't be afraid to tell your own story, to share your own perspective. But it's important to share your perspective because no matter who you are, no matter what you do, there's always going to be someone who has a similar perspective than you and that values that. I think it's also cool to see how technology evolved along the way. In the first episode, we have Cootie, his videographer, carrying around this big tape camera. I don't even know what it is, but he's filming him on this big tape camera. And they're making these beats in the studio and they can't do it anywhere else. And then near the end of the documentary, we can see that Cootie's filming on his phone. And it's just a testament to see how quickly technology has evolved. And I'm just honored to be a part of this century. I'm honored to be a part of this story of how technology is growing so quickly. And so personally, my biggest takeaway from all of this was to stay true to my perspectives, don't be afraid to ask people for help, but most importantly, document your life. And I don't care how you document it. I don't know if it's through music, through audio. I don't know if it's through art, if it's through video. I don't know what else you guys can figure out. I don't care what the medium is, what the mode is. But document your life, because later you're gonna be thankful. I know for a fact when I go back and watch the YouTube videos I made 5 years ago, and the videos I made even longer ago, I just look back and I'm just like, man, that was awful, but I'm so glad I did that so I can do this now, so I can look back. And that's why I make these videos. I make these videos for the day when I have kids and when I have grandkids, and we can go back and watch these moments and I can remember my life, you know, and I can see the progression of my life, just like how we did with Kanye West. Always give, value your perspective, and document your life. That's what I got for you guys today. If you like this video, make sure to leave a like below, make sure to subscribe, do all the things. You guys know what to do. We just reached 400 subscribers, so that's cool. By the time I'm posting this, maybe we'll have 500. Thanks guys, later.